Solving equations, lesson C notes, example number 1. We're going to solve each equation here. Now, I have, as you can see, all these different lines. I do that to help me keep things organized. Obviously, you don't have to do that, but I do want you to draw these lines here. See the ones that I have on the equal signs? Please go through the problems and draw those lines going straight down through the equal sign. They don't have to be dark, just draw a line, a light line straight down from the equal sign, because we're going to use that to keep our equal signs lined up. So pause the video and do that for each of your equations. Okay, example number 1. I'm going to use the inverse operation to isolate the variable. So to isolate the t, I need to get rid of this 3. It is a positive 3. The inverse to positive is negative. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Cancel out your 3's. That allows me to isolate the t. I'm going to bring my variable down, put a tail on your t, keep your equal signs lined up, and 11 minus 3 is 8. So the solution to this first problem is t equals 8. The solution is 8. I'll use the inverse operation to isolate the t. For b, to isolate the m, I need to get rid of this positive 7. The inverse operation would be to subtract 7 from both sides. So that allows me to cancel the 7's. Bring down the m. Keep the equal signs lined up. 2 minus 7. Those signs are different. Subtract, keep the sign a larger number. And you get negative 5. Now, if I wanted to, I could check my answers. And to check my answers, all I would do is I would take the number I get and plug it back in here. Then you would put this into your calculator to see if you get this. So for example, for A, I would plug the 8 in for T, 3 plus 8, put that in your calculator and make sure you get 11, which we do. For B, I would plug the negative 5 in for the M. Negative 5 plus 7 would give me positive 2. So when you're doing these problems, take a moment, plug it back into the equation and check to see if your answer is correct. There is no reason whatsoever to miss any of these questions. For C, I want to isolate the P. To isolate the P, I need to get rid of the 6.2. The inverse operation, or the opposite operation, would be the negative 6.2 or minus 6.2. Remember, negative and minus are the same thing. So I'm going to subtract 6.2 from both sides. I'll cancel out that. Bring down my equal sign, keeping it lined up. Now the P started on the right, it's going to stay on the right. And 10.7 minus 6.2 is 4.5. So my solution for this problem is 4.5. 4.5. Okay, pause your video and complete D and E. Don't complete F, just complete D and E. Pause your video and do so now. Okay, D. I want to isolate the A by getting rid of the 5. So that's a positive 5. I need to make it negative 5. The inverse operation would be negative or subtraction. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. It's very important that you say from both sides, because remember, it's a balancing act. What I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other side. That allows me to isolate the A, so I bring the A down, keep my equal signs lined up. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. I know when we did the integers lesson, I told you weren't allowed to put negative signs in your calculator. That's not the case for this one. So To make sure you're correct, I would love for you to try to do the math in your head first, but then make sure you're correct by putting it in your calculator. So if I was going to put this in your calculator, I would simply put 4 minus 5. If I was going to put this one in the calculator, A, I would put 11 minus 3. B, I would put 2 minus 7. C, I would put 10.7 minus 6.2. So put them in your calculator and check your answers. Okay, E. I want to isolate the end by getting rid of the positive 1/2. The opposite of positive is negative, so I'm going to subtract 1/2 from both sides. So I'm able to cancel out the halves, allowed me to isolate the n, get the n by itself, and an 11.5 minus 1/2 is simply 11. No calculator needed for that one. For F, I want to isolate the B. Now I'm going to show you 2 mistakes that I often get for F. Please do not write any of this down. Just follow along. The first mistake I get for F is that people want to add 20 to both sides. I'm not sure why they do that, but if you notice, that makes there's nothing on this side of the equation. Okay? What they'll do is they'll add 20 and then they'll tell me that this is negative 18 equals B. But that is not correct. Okay? The next thing I get is they see a plus sign here. So they automatically want to subtract 38 from both sides. But look at this. If I have negative 38 and I subtract 38, are those numbers going to cancel out? No, they're not opposites. I need opposites. So I have to go by the sign in front of the number that I need to get rid of. I need to get rid of negative 38. And the opposite of negative 38 is positive 38. So I'm going to add 38 to both sides. Again, I'm adding it to both sides using the correct terminology. So that allows me to cancel out the 38s. 20 minus 38, so that would be 38 minus 20 is 18. Bring down the equal sign. And again, my variable starts on the right, it ends on the right. If it starts on the left, it ends on the left. Make sure you keep your variables on the correct side. All right, that is it for example 1. Take a moment, make sure you have everything written down. Pause your video, make sure it's all written down, and if you have any questions on example 1, please let me know.